Are you here to debate?
Oh, hello. I'm actually very surprised that worked. How you doing?
Chilling. Are you here to debate?
Yeah, I am. I am.
Okay.
I just so a little bit about me. You've been coming up on my feed a little while, and while I don't necessarily agree with you, just wanted to say I do appreciate that you do have this like platform that you are allowing like open dialogue, stuff like that. Um, but anyway, I just really had when you came up on my feed, um, like the first thing that I heard was like we kill people all the time. Like, and other than abortion or in war, when do we kill people all the time? Does that make sense?
Self defense.
I was just trying to think.
Self defense.
Self defense.
Yeah. Self defense would be considered a justified killing.
Okay. Um. So.
Real quick before we keep going, can I just get your name and age?
Yeah.
I forgot to ask at the beginning.
Oh yeah, my name's Nick. I'm 22.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, self defense would be my answer to that.
Okay. So. So like your argument for abortion, if someone is sentient, then it would be unjustified.
If somebody is sentient, it would be unjust to kill them, but you can still remove them from a person's body. So my stance is specifically that at 24 weeks, when the capacity for sentience has emerged, then I would grant the fetus moral consideration, and I would say that any abortion after that should be either a cesarean section or an induction to keep the fetus alive. Prior to 24 weeks, I don't care what you do because it's not sentient, and I don't really care how you unalive a non-sentient being.
So is it? So it you just like for clarification, like not everyone at 24 weeks is necessarily sentient, right?
24 weeks is the consensus, the scientific consensus currently via neuron development. So because of that consensus, I just placed a cautionary principle at that time. Some people have been shown to have sentience earlier, some people later, but like that, because that's the consensus, that's just where I placed my cautionary principle.
So would you be okay with like doing tests at that point for like an objective, this fetus?
We can do fetal brain scans if we want to see like if the neuron development has reached the point. Sure, I mean I don't mind adding that onto there and saying like do a fetal brain scan just to make sure. Yeah, I have no issues with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
With that argument,
Oh, there we
like
go. With
that argument, like someone in sentient, or someone who's like isn't sentient. Let's say they've been in a traumatic motor vehicle accident and they're in a coma. Let's say you're not really sentient. You can't feel things. You can't cognitively think. Would it be justified to kill that person as well?
No, they still have the capacity for sentience. So those parts of the brain are still there. As long as those parts of the brain have not died, they still have the capacity to redeploy that sentience. It's just they have to actually redeploy it. So as long as the capacity is there, I'm fine. So if somebody's like brain dead, they no longer have the capacity. So if somebody was like brain dead, I would say, yeah, then
So if they're like for sure on their deathbed, you might as well just pull the plug.
If they are brain dead, yeah, we pull the plug on brain dead people all the time. So that I have no issue with.
I agree, but that's like, they would also, we would assume this person might even be in hospice. The family might be a little bit more involved. In the medical field, they do, they would like to make sure the comfort of the parents and their family is also there. They don't.
I don't mind keeping the person alive until their family gets there, right? But you're not. It's just a body at that point. If they're brain dead, you're just allowing them to say goodbye to a body. It's not like a what's the word I'm looking for? it's not like it's a sentient person at that point.
Right. Okay. So with the sorry, I'm actually kind of nervous. I don't know why.
You're good.
But so like you say capacity to be sentient.
Yep.
You don't think like a fetus at 20 weeks is eventually, I mean, they will get to that capacity at some point, right?
Yeah, but I don't care about
I mean, that's
potential,
what they're
right? Like just because they have the potential to eventually reach that, I don't care about that. I care about what, like, whether it currently has. Like that's why I make the capacity thing, is potential. You can push potential back as far as you want to. If you want to be technical, potential isn't talking about the properties of something. It's talking about what that something can become with the right amount of external stimuli. So like sperm has the potential for sentience if given the right external stimuli, right? So like it's just going to lead us down a really slippery slope into sort of nonsensicalness, if you ask me.
So I would disagree with that. I would say the sperm can't become sentient at one point, mainly because a sperm whale isn't a person, right?
I disagree. If we're just talking potential, all potential is saying is that if a specific requirement is met, this thing will become this thing. And it's the same with sperm. If specific requirements and conditions are met, sperm will eventually become a zygote, will eventually become an egg, will eventually become a fetus, will eventually become sentient. And you can push that back even further. Sentience could begin when a person first puts his penis into a vagina. Because with the right stimuli, that's going to create human, like, this is why I don't really use sentience in this regard, or I don't use potential in this regard. I think potential is also just worrisome when we get into like, should I be able to give a 5-year-old alcohol because eventually they will be 21 because they have the potential to be 21? No, I want to treat things like they currently are.
Okay. Okay, so like objectively though, like a sperm whale, that would be.
Why do you keep saying sperm whale?
Oh, sperm. Sorry,
No, I got you.
I'm actually a
This is
nursing
confusing
student.
me.
I'm actually like. Anyway, sometimes I just talk too technical. So a sperm, right? It's a man had to create that, or yeah, a man had to someone had to create that, right? And in the testes, they're just swimming around, but they have. I'm just going to use me as an example. They have, like, my sperm would have my DNA, right? It's made up with my chromosomes, 23 of them.
Sure.
My argument at conception, it's 40. One cell of a person is 46 chromosomes. So, the sperm in my body, they each have 23 chromosomes apiece. Whereas in a woman, it's 23 chromosomes as well for the egg. So when they meet, they're finally 46. Now those cells don't belong, like they don't match anything in a man's body. They don't match anything in a woman's body. They're simply its own thing. So I just want to know what your argument might be against that.
Against it being
Yeah.
I feel like my main argument addresses this. Like, I don't care if it's in unique human, right? I care if it's a sentient unique human, right?
Okay.
Because again, my big issue is when we talk about the abortion thing, we're saying that another human should give up their sentient rights for a creature that is not yet sentient. And I'm going to always place value on the sentient creature because the sentient creature can express wants and desires that a non-sentient creature physically does not have. A sentient creature can kind of dictate, like, oh, they want their life to be a certain way. Non-sentient creatures don't have this, right? But I put a cautionary principle on the 24-week mark because that's when that capacity starts. So once they have the capacity to deploy sentience, then I'm going to say we should look at that where we should place rights. I think placing rights anywhere else just sort of doesn't make sense intuitively to me.
Okay. So let's just say, for the argument, 24 weeks, that's the spot when the fetus is finally sentient.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still, so at that point, anything after
because I saw on your thing you say it's okay all the way up until 9 months.
Yeah, it's like I said at the
So,
beginning.
like,
You just remove it. You don't kill it, right? So you would take it out and then put it in the NICU. Hopefully it survives. But like you just don't kill it. I still don't think that a person should be forced to carry someone in their body they don't want to. But once that has rights, I don't think we should just kill it. I think we should see if it survives on its own in the NICU.
all right. Oh, well, I've never really, I got to say, you really got me stumped on that one. I've never really heard that argument. I mean, I know technology is advancing very, very fast.
Yeah, the
So I guess,
argument basically boils down that it's right now, I think it's like a 70% chance at 24 weeks. You have a 70% chance of survival, which is incredibly high when we look at like fetal viability. Let me pull up the actual percentage.
that's
24
okay.
weeks.
I believe you.
Oh, okay, cool. So like,
I'll just take your word. I'm just here. I'm literally sitting in my car. You came up on my shorts, and I just thought it'd be cool to talk to you for a little bit. So,
yeah, for sure.
So before 24 weeks, are you saying that any person, like anybody carrying anybody with a pregnancy, if they wanted an abortion for any reason, they could just go get it?
Uh-huh. Any reason, any type of abortion. The only abortions that I would say are bad abortions are coerced or forced abortions. If you're not being coerced and you're not being forced to do it, I think any reason. I don't place any morality on the reasons for abortion, whatever those reasons may be.
Okay. So so for saying that, it's because you're considering the person in the womb before 24 weeks not a life.
No, that's a life. I don't consider it a person. It's definitely a life. I wouldn't say it's a person though.
Okay, sure. It's not a person. We could say that.
Yeah.
It's not a person. Okay.
But it's like I said, like a tree is life, a tree is living, a tree is not sentient, right? So I cut down a tree. The only like issues I would have is its effect on the sentient creatures around it, like cutting down that tree. A fetus prior to 24 weeks, it doesn't have sentience. Like I wouldn't consider it a person. I wouldn't grant it moral consideration. It would need the necessary conditions, are the necessary requirements that I have for sentience, which would be neuron development, neuron maturity, and then whether or not your thalamocortical connections are linked between your sense organs and your brain. So like without those things, I wouldn't consider you sentient.
Okay, so I guess my argument would be like at conception, that progress is starting. So like it does, like at conception, it does have that capacity. It needs to grow and develop.
No, it has potential, right? So for instance, let me try to. So
okay.
When it comes to fetal neuron development, our neurons go through 9 stages of maturation, right? At the 7th stage, it doesn't have the capacity. It will potentially reach that 7th stage, but it has not actualized that capacity yet. But at the 9th stage, that capacity is hit. Another way to describe it is like, how do I want to word this? Let's say I have a car, but I don't know whether my car will start because I don't know how much gas is in the car. My car has a potential to start. It has the potential to, if the right external factors are placed upon it. Now, let's say I fill the car up with gas. Now it has the capacity to start because it has the things that it needs to actually engage in the process of starting. But prior to putting the gas in, it does not have the capacity to start. It will not start because there is no gas in the car.
Okay. I think I understand what you're saying. So I don't mean, this kind of relates a little bit, and I don't mean to like kind of switch subjects a little bit, but I would just want you to ask your opinion. So like, let's say I wanted to open like some sort of beachfront bar, right? And I wanted to put it in this spot. I bought the plot of land, but some turtle eggs popped up, and like a mama just just laid her eggs, and I would be, my question would be, would you be okay if I threw those, I just got rid of those eggs, removed them from the site, you know, cracked them open and built my thing here? Would you be okay with that?
Would I be okay with you? Well, I would. Are the turtles endangered?
Well, okay, yeah, I'm gonna crush them, yeah, to put my thing here, yeah.
But it's an endangered species.
But they're just eggs.
Yeah, but you're not, by crushing those eggs, you're not engaging in anybody else's bodily autonomy. You're not activating a right that you may have. You're just killing the eggs for no reason. Right? When we talk about abortion, the reason why I don't think the analogy works in the abortion sense is that when it comes to abortion, somebody is actively engaging in their right to control what happens to their body. This is why I would say, like, I don't think somebody should just walk into a room and shoot a 5-year-old, right? That 5-year-old's not negatively impacting your right to bodily autonomy.
Of course. Well, okay. But so you would say those turtles have bodily autonomy themselves, then, or
I mean, as much as you want to grant animals rights to bodily autonomy, I don't necessarily know that I would grant the right to bodily autonomy to animals in that way. I would more grant animals like a right to life. I don't know that animals, because I don't know that animals have the. Yeah, I'd say it's more just the turtles have a right to life rather than a right to bodily autonomy. This is why I also believe like the veganism stance is probably the morally correct stance.
So I'm just asking why you would give these turtle eggs more right to life than the human zygote, fetus, whatever stage after conception.
Because the turtles are not engaging in a rights violation. A fetus would be. A fetus would be violating somebody else's right to bodily autonomy if they do not want them inside of them. The turtles aren't engaging in a rights violation.
Well, I guess the only thing I would say to that would be, I've heard this when I was really young. I'm gonna just be honest. I've been on both ends of this argument all my life, and it's just kind of come down to, like, what I truly believe, and I just truly, to me, I believe that person at conception is a life, the fetus, zygote, whatever. I do think, in some circumstances, of course, if the life of the mother is endangered, of course, the life of the mother should be poured over the fetus at any stage, in my opinion. The life of the mother, the person bearing that child, is more important, because without that person, the child can't get to, birth. So I would be, and also in the case of rape, I'm a person that says 2 wrongs don't make a right, but there are a lot of horrific stories that happen, and I think in those, I'm not really one to say, like, I shouldn't have an opinion. I think everyone should have an opinion about everything, but I think in that circumstance, I don't know what kind of trauma that person's been through. I don't know what kind of mental psyche, I want that person to get through it. So I would say this is just what I would, and this is most of the abortions. Like, most abortions aren't, because the life of the mother's endangered, or physically. I understand financially, some, you may argue, like, women can't financially thrive with this person. I understand how expensive it is. I am so thankful for my parents in raising me. I feel like that's one of my biggest.
I just want to point out something
Yeah.
in this, right? So I think my issue with this is, again, we're valuing a non-sentient thing over a sentient thing, right? So we're saying that it's more important that a non-sentient creature lives than it is that a sentient creature gets to engage in their rights to bodily autonomy, right? Why would it be that the non-sentient creature is more important than the sentient one?
So this would be my argument, is because I think you did have the right to bodily autonomy, and there's I actually believe in there's 4 different choices that I believe in. One, I mean, I don't think this is very. The first one being abstinence. If you don't participate in sex, you're not gonna have a baby. I understand not how most people live nowadays. I can't even say I live like that. But I will say that when I do engage, like I will be protected with birth control. And I also believe in contraceptives because they work before conception.
Sure, but I don't
And
think this
then
is addressing the argument, right? Like, why would, like, for example, you wouldn't say that a person, like, if I was suffering because there was a tree blocking my window in my house, and the tree is on my property, I have every right to cut the tree down and kill it, right?
right.
That's me harming life. If the issue is with
But
life,
I put more value over human life than I do like a tree. And a tree isn't sentient either. They don't have feelings.
sure, but
They
why? But why? Yeah, but
respond
that's
to
what
the
I'm saying.
physical environment.
Why is all human life inherently valuable?
Why wouldn't it be?
Well, I think
I mean,
I think
we're
just
the
a
only ones
blanket.
that have.
Well, yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think just the blanket statement, all human life is valuable, isn't providing any reasoning behind it, right? It's just saying, well, human life is valuable because it's human life. That's just circular, right? I don't think human life is more valuable than any other type of sentient life on the planet, right? I don't think human life is inherently more valuable than animals. Well, that's not true. I think morally, let me rephrase that. Morally, human life should not be more valuable than any other life, right? Like, I still eat meat, but I'm saying the morally correct, but I'm immoral when I do so. But the morally correct position is that human life is not going to have any more inherent value to another animal unless you're saying just because they're human. But if that's the case, that's just circular. It's just a circular argument. Intuitively, we might believe this to be the case, but then we're just battling intuitions, which, I would just say my intuition is that human life is not valuable until it is sentient.
Well, I think that's a difference in morality that we have, and I don't think that us talking, we're probably not gonna. I'm probably not gonna shift your moral compass. You're not gonna shift mine. I did just want to say that for anybody who has tried birth control, tried conception, I would be more than happy, and this might not be the conservative point of view that I usually stand with, but I would be more than happy to pay with like my tax dollars. I don't care like what kind of money I would have to spend in taxes to make sure the mother of whatever child at whatever stage gets through pregnancy and they put the baby up for adoption.
Adoption's not the answer, though. Adoption is worse 9 times out of 10, right? I don't have all the stats in front of me, but adoption causes so much harm to children. Adoptive kids are more likely to commit suicide. They're more likely to be unalived by their adoptive parents. Like, just throwing them into the system isn't doing anything, right? And it's not addressing the bigger issue.
I would say that I would agree. I would agree with that. If that's, I would say newborn children, though, usually get adopted into loving families. There's a waiting list of people waiting for newborn children.
Yeah, they want to buy kids.
And waiting. My point is, like, the kids that are they're usually more likely to commit suicide. Those kids are usually foster kids, and they usually end up in that system by having shitty parents.
Yeah, but the
And-
issue, the big issue here is that adoption isn't addressing the main moral concern, which is somebody's right to determine what happens to their own body. You're saying you're saying for 9 months, you now no longer get that right to bodily autonomy that everybody else has.
Well, what can a woman not do, like, when she's pregnant that she, I mean, other than, like, smoke?
She can't take something out. She can't take something out of her that she doesn't want in her. That's the issue. They don't want something inside of them. They should, if there's something in my body I don't want in me, I should be able to take it out. Plain and simple. It's my body.
Okay. I don't think, well, I just wanted to say to the adoption thing, I do think that there are a lot of parents who are infertile. They'd love to adopt a child. So I would just say that would be the last of my 4 choices. That's pretty much my whole argument. I was happy to hear yours. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, sure.
And again, I do appreciate like what you do out here. Like, not a lot of people would, just take phone calls from random people and debate them online. I think that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, no problem, dog.
All right, you have a good one. Thank you.
You too.